This episode of LedgerCast is going to be a great one. It's brought to you by Matcha. Go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha to check it out. It is a fantastic way to trade. You can go on there for aggregated liquidity from all the different swaps, Uniswap and SushiSwap and everywhere else. Matcha is made by the folks at 0x. It's an outstanding tool with a great user experience, and it's the easiest way to trade crypto on a DEX. Try it out today. Go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha. Thanks so much to Matcha for being a Ledger Status partner. Now let's get to this outstanding episode with Ashdrake. Hello and welcome to LedgerCast. My name is Brian Krogsgaard. I am starting an interview series today, and I'm excited about our first guest. We're kicking this off with somebody who is famous in crypto, or infamous in some ways, maybe for the most famous tweet of the entire bull market for the last market. I've got Ashdrake on the phone. How's it going, Ashdrake?
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. Some of our listeners who are familiar with all of the mania around 2017, they will know you purely because you are you put a tweet out there on December 28th, 2016, and it said, "Wait for the bounce, then short the corn." And where I want to kick off is, for you to get to that point, all of us make different calls, various calls about bullishness or bearishness and whatnot. What you'd been in Bitcoin for a long time, you'd been trading for a long time. I want to ask you, first off, what got you into that headspace that day?
I don't know, man. I think that was like one of my last tweets before I left. If I'm not recalling correctly, so I don't think I did any analysis on that. I was like, okay, sure, the bounce. let's go with what we know.
Yeah. So in terms of, you'd been trading. When did you start trading crypto?
In 2014, January. Something.
Okay. So January 14, and I'm gonna open up a chart for people that do see this, just so we can get some context for where you were throughout your crypto journey, and so that we can kind of learn more about what you had experienced throughout an entire market cycle already. So January 2014 was close to the bottom of the entire market, or no?
No,
that was the top, close to the top. It was January 2015 that was the bottom. So your first year in crypto was essentially having gotten interested in it at the top of the 2013 market cycle, and then kind of living through that first downtrend. And then by the time you made that tweet at in 2016, it was basically back to the highs where it had come from, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about, like, how did you get into it in the first place? And what was it like living through that bear market?
Well, I got into it by I saw the movie The Wolf on Wall Street, and when I got home, I was like, well, I actually Googled trading penny stocks or something like that, and there was a bit chart with Bitcoin or something appeared, and I was like, what is this? And it was basically, it went from $100 to like 1,000, like the ultimate penny stock.
Right.
So I was like, oh man, this can go to 10K. Let's get in. and I bought like my first Bitcoin. I think I bought at like 700 something, or 800 or something. Close to after it started dumping.
Yeah.
So it went to 1K, and then for like those weeks, then it started going minus 30% back to all-time high, minus 30%. It was very up and down.
Yeah.
And I got in somewhere around there, around 700, and of course I when I saw Bitcoin was not really moving that much, I went into the altcoins, into the Dogecoin. I was on the Dogecoin train.
Yeah. So what is that where you started to really, get your feet under you from a trading perspective? Is
Yeah,
getting into altcoins and
yeah, yeah,
Dogecoin, some of
yeah.
the others?
Because like Bitcoin was not doing anything like compared to how it went to 1,000. The next half a year after it, it was only going lower and lower and lower, and you couldn't make money on it. So I was like, okay, let's go into the altcoins because they were getting advertised. I was on Twitter, and everybody was yelling, "Dogecoin this, some other coin that." This was $1. Now it's $10.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, penny stocks version 2, 2.0. Let's go. And I went into the altcoin market and do all the altcoins. Well, you basically bought like cheap and rode the hype wave. There wasn't any technical analysis or whatever doing. I basically didn't even know how to read the chart. I was like, if it's green, it's good. If it's red,
So you're
not that good.
essentially playing the momentum of the cycle.
Yeah, I was playing the hype. I was always an emotion trader.
Yeah, and it sounds
Uh,
like the altcoin cycle after the late 2013 high, during that 2014 bear market, the whereas in 2018, alts just kind of got killed after the bull market.
yeah,
It sounds like when you were getting interested in trading, Bitcoin may have been going down or sideways, or like going through the grind, but altcoins still had stuff going on. People were still speculating. They just weren't really
it was
speculating on Bitcoin.
the first big altcoin cycle.
Yeah.
That was the late. I'm not sure if you were there back in that time.
I had vague awareness of Bitcoin going back to 2012, but I didn't dig into everything that was going on and altcoins and everything else until as you were exiting the market I was entering.
Yeah, so basically during that time it was like the big the big altcoin boom. Like you had everything like the USB keys, the hats. You had altcoins that like basically were sending you hats to your doorstep or something as promotional material. Yeah, I swear. And basically there was everything under the sun with like custom wallets and whatever, like all the altcoins on the various different chains. And basically the way it went was nobody knew nothing about trading. Like there was a bunch of people that came in when Bitcoin was $1,000, and they got swamped into the altcoin market because they came in with the, okay, this is a Ponzi and we need to make money. So basically gambling style.
Yeah, and honestly, after a cycle like Bitcoin had from 2000, well, I mean its entire history really, but early 2012 up until that top at $1,000, the types of multiples that were experienced there, you almost couldn't be an entrant during any of that time and then think like, I know what I'm doing, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
those types of moves. So the mindset is much more of a gambler or a penny stock player, or somebody that kind of understood the Ponzi-nomics, like you mentioned there.
Yeah, because it was moving too fast. Like it had no comparison to stocks. Like right now you can see Tesla going $100 a day or something crazy. And so you have that crazy moves again. But back then, like stocks went 2, 3, 5%,
Yeah,
and Bitcoin was like 15% a day, and then another day another 15%, and another day another 15%. And I was like, what is this? So it was more of a penny stock because you had, well, I like to call them shit coins, but
yeah,
whatever floats your boat. That were like, okay, now this is worth So we were trading them in satoshis.
Right.
So this is 200 satoshi. I didn't even know how much that was in US dollars. I was like, okay, how many satoshis is this? 200. Okay, how many satoshis will this be after a week? Well, 10k. Perfect. I buy. So most people weren't even denominating into dollars. They were denominating into BTC. So everything was done to acquire more BTC or Bitcoin.
Did you have a general macro view of like you were fundamentally bullish on Bitcoin because of whatever the narrative was about a deflationary asset and all that? Was that stuff established, or were you trading against Bitcoin because that's just the only trading pairs that existed, or how did you think about it in that regard?
I didn't think of it as any man. I didn't know anything about I didn't know anything about the market. I didn't know anything about the stock market. So I came from like a developer, like
Yeah.
a front end developer background. I was doing JavaScript or something,
Yeah.
And I was like, I had zero knowledge of markets. I didn't like. I knew would have been 21 million coins, but like I didn't know what inflationary or deflationary was,
Right.
like all this economic knowledge. I had no idea. I knew one thing. Okay, we need to get more BTC because we can change BTC to US dollars, and then we change US dollars to
Whatever you
that
want to buy.
shiny stuff on my
Yeah.
desk.
Yeah. So
And,
you were purely looking at it in terms of that's the trading pair that's available to me, and then I can take that Bitcoin, and that the Bitcoin's the on ramp and the off ramp. It's not but it's not like, oh, I need X number of Bitcoin because I want to hodl these until it goes to 10K or 100K or
no,
whatever.
man. I was like, this shit is going to zero. Fuck it.
So given that in mind, now let's trade these altcoins and then get it out of there and move it over. Did that narrative ever change, or did you maintain that same philosophy as it started climbing back up? Because I imagine you were learning all these lessons trading altcoins, trying to increase the amount of Bitcoin that you had so that you could cash out all the way down. So Bitcoin's going, your first buys in the 700-800s.
Yeah.
What were you
Then
thinking as it approached like 200, 300? What's your mindset through that as you're trading
my
altcoins?
mindset was, shit, this is going to zero.
So were you already trying to get out, or what was the process?
Yeah. So the process was, this shit is going to zero because of the FBI is gonna take it down, the United States government is gonna take it down, the chain will get hacked, or it will not be secure, or the exchanges will get rug pulled and will be Mount Goxed, because I saw the Mount Gox scandal. It was like, man, this is not gonna happen. Like, there are no big players involved. This is going to zero, and this belief was reinforced all across like the entire 2014. It went to like $170.
Yeah.
So I was, oh, this is going to zero. Let's sell. Okay, so this is still going down. Let's sell some more. Now the problem was in 2015, it stopped going to zero. And I was like,
Yeah, so it's kind of stabilized between $200 and $300.
Yeah. It had some crazy, and every time it went up, I was like, okay, wait for the top. Wait for the top. Is this the top? Yes, short it. Okay, now it goes back to zero, and it went to like 200 again, and I was like, oh, this is not going to zero. Well, maybe next time. And like it did this BS 200, 300, like all through 2015.
Yeah, there are like probably three big swings there that I'm looking at on this chart between 200 and 300 where it range traded. So you were trading that. When you went to would you short it, go to dollars, and then come back in, or was this all in?
No, it was all on OKCoin. OKCoin 10x.
Yeah. So
back when the Chinese exchanges were still there.
yeah, so playing on margin on OKCoin and other Chinese exchanges where you could get long or short,
Yeah.
and you were playing those cycles. Did you ever get to a point to where you changed your mindset and said, okay, now it's not going to zero? Because I mean, obviously, you stuck around all the way until it got back to the highs. Did it ever shift?
No, that's the problem. No, I mean, that was the entire problem. I didn't change my mindset. So I was like, this is going to zero. And this belief got reinforced for like a year. And then all those bounces in 2015 were still going down. And then we had that low around sub 200 and was like, now this time goes to zero. And then it bounced back. And then it went to like 500 or something. And then it went straight down to like 280. And then I was like, now it's going to go to zero. But it kept like each week after it dumped, it kept going up. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do with this. So I kind of went shorted it all the way up.
So you when it broke that range, I'm essentially putting some boxes on this because your crypto life was essentially this 3-year span, which is for what it's worth. I mean, that's a long time to be in crypto. I've been in crypto about 4 years now, and you get hardened to markets after a while, right? Especially as you live through a bear market. And it sounds like you were really shaped by seeing the huge parabolic move up, having this mindset of, watching Wolf of Wall Street, let's go get involved in some of these crazy penny stock like things. And then you watch it go down for a year straight while you trade absolutely insane altcoins that were probably doing 10x, 100x, and then going to zero themselves. And you're popping in, playing the pumps, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that just cemented your mindset that this was all just a sham and you were trying to take advantage of it while you could?
I think I was a bit on the too young scale. I was a bit of a retard, to be honest. I mean, honestly, when I came into this, I had no idea how economics work. Like I was doing accounting, so I knew, okay, you have to have something go in and then equivalent must come out, either as costs or as profits, So I had some economic knowledge, but like the accounting part, not the investment part, so to speak. So I absolutely had no idea what I was doing. I mean, for the most part of 2014, it was basically, okay, we shorted. Does it appear to be at a high enough place now? Yes. Okay, short it. Like on small leverage. Wow. And I'm in the red because it went a bit against me. But I was like, well, it's gonna go down anyway, so who cares if it goes a bit against me? If it starts going, I was thinking, it goes up, so this means I can short it higher.
Okay, so you were always on the short side. Did you ever play the long side on Bitcoin, or was that?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I did try to play it a few times, but I got burned badly.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to catch knives when it was like dumping like $200 or $300 around the winter of the 2014 when it dropped to like 150 or something on Bitfinex. So I was trying to catch knives on it on OKCoin, and I lost a lot of money trying to catch knives because I went, okay, this is not gonna go below 200. I was like, okay, this is a scam, but maybe not below 200. So I was like, okay, let's go 10x long around 180. And it went, and margin called me and was like, okay, that was dumb. And then, of course, the market bounced back because
I mean you were basically on the very bottom. Like anyone would have dreamed of that position, but you got liquidated instead.
Yeah, I got liquidated. Like I was a fucking idiot. So I was like, well, going long doesn't work. Going short made me a lot of money, so I guess we go short.
So you,
So basically, that cemented the idea of going short makes money, going long loses money.
when Bitcoin was in that range in 2015, where you were deciding you want to play the short side, were you still playing altcoins at that time, or was that kind of game over?
The altcoins, the altcoins, they were like big in 2014 because there were a lot of people that came in that
They wanted the next Bitcoin.
that wanted the next Bitcoin, and they didn't know much about things, and they basically got cleaned up by people that had more than two neurons
Yeah,
stuck together in their heads.
yeah.
Like, oh, this scam dev is gonna do the next Bitcoin. Yeah, maybe not, but okay, well, so they got cleaned up. So the retail money, so to speak, like when something goes up a lot and you start seeing it in the news, you can bet money on the fact that there will be like this random guy that sits at home and watches CNBC or whatever financial program you have, go like, maybe I need to invest my money into this, right as it's near, like after he did the parabolic move.
Yeah.
And that guy exists, and that guy is gonna put money on it, and then he's gonna complain that he lost all his savings. So basically, the new money that came in to Bitcoin, and then after Bitcoin started going down, migrate to the altcoin space. Basically, that money got cleaned up because there were like the dark cash, zero cash,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that was its name. It went pretty huge, and
What
then
became
it was,
Dash, isn't it?
yeah. The thing before that.
Right. Where Dash evolved from.
Yeah. So that thing went pretty huge. Like it had like some volumes of transactions that were like the second highest after Bitcoin per day for like a small period of time. Like everybody was doing that. So they went into there, they got cleaned there, they got cleaned on all the other alts that the coin either went to zero or the dev scammed everybody, because scams were a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there aren't any
Yeah.
scams now, but
Yeah. We've seen
well,
we've seen a bunch of them recently, but it's they're most prevalent in a more nascent part of the market. With if you've seen some of the DeFi stuff that's going on
yeah,
and Uniswap, which
yeah,
feels a
yeah,
lot more like what it used to be back then, where it was much easier to just list random crap on whatever exchange.
yeah.
Now, of course, you can do
Right,
that.
the DFE and the R ERC tokens.
Yeah,
It's like the altcoin days of 2014, but with more charts and less money.
yeah,
Less money by stupid people. That's the big problem, because the thing is, the way with Bitcoin is, if stupid people won't buy a $12K asset to then change into Ethereum, and then change into whatever ERC20 token random.
yeah. So you think it benefited back then that you could buy, your first Bitcoin for under $1,000 and then go and deploy that into this altcoin landscape?
Yeah, and it was pretty straightforward. So you bought the Bitcoin, and then you took the Bitcoin to an exchange, and then you traded the Bitcoin into a BTC shitcoin pair.
Right.
So it was like two steps. Now you have to buy the Bitcoin, you have to change the Bitcoin to either move the Bitcoin to like an Ethereum, and move the Ethereum to you have to figure out how Uniswap works, which is massively complicated. I don't know. I have no idea how Uniswap works. I'm gonna admit it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I never touch it. I buy the token. Okay, the token. How much is it? $3. I buy it, and now it's like what, 3.5. easy 20%, but I have no idea how it works.
Right.
I looked at the white paper and like scratching my head. I'm like, I don't get it. This is, and if it's too much for me, trust me, it's too much for 95% of the average guy.
Right. So that you're making that argument that it's hard for new money to come into that ecosystem.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to where you were in 2014, 2015. I imagine there were probably new entrants kind of coming in throughout the bear market as people were looking to, re-engage as Bitcoin recovered. It sounds like you never bought into it from the fundamental perspective, but you stuck around. So I guess you were winning enough between altcoins and margin trading Bitcoin, or was it always kind of a struggle for you? Did you ever have a moment where it just kind of clicked and you started to make money on it?
No, man, I was always making enough money on it to survive. Like there is this weird saying on the market that I basically lost everything. I had the truth is I had $1,500. I mean $1,500,
Uh-huh.
and I lived off $1,500 for 3 years.
So you did okay.
So yeah, like you can understand. Yeah, in the end, I had nothing. But can you live on $1,500 for 3 years?
Yeah, so
Well,
you walked into the market with $1,500 is what you're saying, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
you
and I lived
traded,
off it.
you traded and you took money out, you traded and you took money out, you traded and you took money out, and you lived off of
Yeah,
it. You were essentially full time trading Bitcoin and altcoins, living
yeah,
off of whatever profits or whatever you took out of the market.
yeah,
But then when you exited, when the famous tweet and wait for the bounce and short the corn, that's when you essentially were gone for good, right?
yeah. I was like, okay, this is not working. I'm not sure what I'm missing, but this I also had some problems. I was getting real fat. I was not in a happy place. I was like halfway depressed. Uh, some guy bamboozled me out of my Ethereum. I told the story because I had another talk with an interview with what's his name, with John Downett, and basically I went into the Ethereum pre-sale and it didn't go anywhere. And I put a joke tweet like, "Oh, I hope I can sell this Ethereum that I bought for like 10 cents." And some guy came and like, "Oh boy, I'll buy it off you for 10 cents." And I didn't bother doing research on it, you know. And basically he was like, "Yeah, but let's do it quick, quick, quick. Let's move, let's move, let's move." And he basically bamboozled me out of my out of those Ethereum. So by the time I kind of left the market, I was like, psychologically, I wasn't in a good place, you know. Like things were falling apart.
Yeah. So by the time that happened, I mean, you were trying to sell Ethereum close to the pre-sale price,
Yeah,
and then you saw it go to $10, $12 on top
yeah,
of the fact that someone scammed you out of it. So
yeah, yeah.
psychologically, that had to be super painful.
That was brutal, man. That was brutal. I mean, it was that, and it was the fact that I couldn't figure out why the market was not going down, and I couldn't figure out, okay, so let's buy long, but why am I getting margin called? Because I was always buying it too late. So I was like, okay, maybe short it, okay, not short it, let's wait. And I was waiting and I was waiting, okay, well, it's going up. Okay, fine, let's long it. And when I was like, okay, fine, let's long it, it was still going up. And I was like, oh, I'm safe. And then I will walk away and do something else. And then like 4 hours or a day, it went like blurp, red candle. I was like, okay, well, I bought the top again. So yeah, it was a lot of psychological impacts of you try to do something and you get punished. So you're trying not to do that anymore.
Yeah. So as the market started to come out of where it had based, I mean, it really made an incredible move. There was moves back down to like 200, like almost the lows in mid 2015. But then it was parabolic almost on a daily, if I look at a daily chart from 200 to over 400. And then it had this long consolidation from November 2015 to May 2016. At any point then, as it had come out of the depths of the bear market, as you had gained some experience in trading altcoins and, trading Bitcoin as well, and obviously, I mean, like you said, you're talking about some of the painful moments, but you made money. Like you had to have been a profitable trader despite big cuts throughout that. Did you ever come to this conclusion that like, hey, maybe there's something real here, or did you just fully convince yourself that this was just all temporary and going away?
I was like during that time, I was a firm believer that the market would go down, and I would go on Twitter and everybody would like laugh at me. I was like, well, if everybody's laughing, then it means I'm doing the right thing. Because I was always a contrarian. When people were like, this is gonna go down, I would long it,
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem was I was actually listening or talking with actually good traders, which were like, bro, stop being retarded. This shit is gonna go up. Like they were trying to help me somehow,
So
But
this is 2016 where there's this ceiling of like $450 and and they're telling you this is a matter of time before it goes back to the highs, and you're in disbelief basically.
Yeah, it was like no, and it was like actually good traders. I mean, people who actually were trading before Bitcoin, if that makes sense. So they were like into the stock market before it, and they spotted, look, this is holding the EMA, this is holding the daily lows, this is not making a lower low on the weekly compared to the whatever. And I was like, no. And I was like, and I tried to believe them, but then in January 2016 there was like this big fat candle from like 450 to like the 300 range again. And I was like, nope, these guys are full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that right now, and it's just the type of candle that could absolutely make you lose your belief in the market, down 18%.
I was like, I was like, well, maybe these guys are right. Maybe I should stop being an idiot. And then that candle happened, and I was like, fuck it, I'm right.
Yeah.
And they were like, bro, it went 20%. It didn't break the lows of the previous whatever. It didn't break 300. Okay, so it's still on the MA upwards. But I was like an idiot, and they were like laughing at me. They were trying to help, but they were like doing in a laughing manner, so to speak.
Right. So there were two big consolidations, and I'm saying this because you're not the only person that went through this then, nor the only person that's going. There's people going through this now and will in the future. It's how markets work. There are two big consolidations with tons of volatility that occurred back then. The one that you just described, it broke up in May 2016. And then had this huge markup move up to like 750. Obviously now you have to think, hey, these are my original buy orders now for Bitcoin, $750. Yeah. We just got back there. And then
and then it dumped to like 450 again. I was like, no, this is a shit. But I didn't know because it went to 450, but then it went like in another week it went like straight to 550, and it always kept a higher low.
Yeah.
But I wasn't trading on the weekly, man. I was trading on the 15-minute candle.
Yeah. So maybe what I'd like to get out of this is some lessons that people could take from in terms of, especially if they believe in the market. I think one of the things I've learned here that I didn't know about you is throughout this, you didn't really believe in Bitcoin, which makes it much harder to have some kind of like, whatever, you get this strong hands mentality like a lot of OG Bitcoiners had. where they were in it for some fundamental reason. You were in it but to trade it. You were in it for the volatility and the ability to get in
I
and out.
was in it to get the Lambos and the women and the mansions. I wanted to be the next Wolf of Wall Street, but
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. I was pretty stupid back in the day.
No, that's okay. I mean, I sincerely appreciate your honesty and just having these conversations with me. If I was in the position, I would be. It would be painful to have. Like all of us have had tough times trading at times. Like no one trades without their scrapes, and walking away from it and then seeing everything that especially like your friends that were true believers or whatever, seeing all that come true and go, everything goes to the moon and Ethereum goes to $1,400 and you're like, wow, I had however many of these things for 11
10k,
cents.
10k.
Yeah.
I could have chilled on a yacht. Fucking idiot. I was such an idiot.
So you're saying you had $10,000 worth of
Yeah,
Ethereum?
no, I had 10,000
10,000 Ethereum.
coins. Yeah, so
Yeah.
at the highest price, that was equal to $14 million.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, I'm happy I didn't jump off a building. So let's go with that.
Honestly, yeah. So talk to me about, I mean, not to mention like, the tweets and like living out your thoughts on the market and, calling it on Twitter and talking to other people, but just what about how did you just go away for a while? Like, did you just want to ignore it once you said, okay, I'm done. Like I was in this and it just kept going up and I'm out. I have no coins anymore. It's been bad for my mental health and my physical health. I got to get away. Did you just go back to your normal life?
Yeah. I got a job, a steady job. I got a house. I got a wife. So I got into the normal peasant routine, so to speak. the poor people, the meme about the generational poverty. Like that was me. I came from like a dirt poor family. So that was the problem. I came from like a dirt poor family. So like I'm from Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
where life here is pretty poor.
Yeah.
So basically I was mega poor, like mega poor, like starving, like eating a meal a day type of poor.
So crypto, despite all of this, changed your life in a good way for
Yeah,
the time that you're in it.
Yeah, so like after I was in it and I started to make some money with the altcoins, and don't think it was a lot of money. Like realistically speaking, it wasn't even the amount of a nice car, like,
right.
But for me, like going from starving one meal a day to going into a supermarket and okay, I want to buy this cheese and that ham and that bread.
Right.
And I do not give a shit how much any of those three items cost.
Right.
Like the mentality shift for me was insane. And this made me extremely arrogant. So that because okay, I was that poor, now I'm not. Now I can buy how many cheeses I want.
Right. And well, you say it in the terms of cheeses, but it's like, you're living off of it through those years, and you say, okay, well, here's one Bitcoin that I can withdraw, and now I've got $500 in my bank account or whatever.
Yeah,
else that
and now I have food for a month.
Right.
And for me, like I said, going from one meal a day to like during my darkest hours to like actually getting fat, if you can imagine that. I mean, for me, it was like a thing that made me extremely arrogant because, I have the key. I am a god,
You figured it out.
Yeah, I figured it out. Like, so like some guys were like driving Lambos and were like, bro, like you made some Lambo tire money. Like I know a guy that had like a Lambo, a luxury car renting business. And I was talking with him and I was like, bro, look, I made like $800 by doing this coin and something, And he was like, oh, so you basically have enough money to buy one of my tires here for my Lambo. Okay, so and I was like so excited, and he was like, "Well, whatever, Lambo tire." Yeah,
um,
yeah,
so you're in this position, I imagine, towards the end, as you know, Bitcoin goes above 500 and then has these hugely volatile moves, and it's coiled up again at 750. We're getting here close to the time where you made the infamous tweet. You're probably dwindling your stack at this time, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. I was dwindling because I kept shorting, not by much, but by enough,
right.
and
But from
that
five,
compared,
yeah, from that drop back to like 500 and then recovery,
yeah,
it just ground up from 550 to $800
yeah,
basically.
yeah, and basically the thing is, I didn't short it by much, but I had to keep withdrawing money out of the account, so I didn't make money. I didn't lose that much in the end overall,
Right.
because I learned to keep my position small because wait, this is not going. Maybe let's try do smaller positions. And what I had like a system. Okay, I want to put like five BTC short, for example. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it was like no, half, half it. So basically, whatever position size I came up with initially, when I went to introduce it into the OKCoin marketplace, I was always halving it. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then over
So
time, you're taking loss after loss as you're
yeah,
convinced.
I'm convinced that there was something fishy. So I was already taking steps to mitigate the losses, but I always kept withdrawing to USD because I was living off it.
Mm,
So back to the end, I was like, okay, look, I had a talk with myself, and I was like, look, okay, like too much have happened. How much do I still have left? I was like, okay, I have enough money for like 4 months of living expenses.
right.
I was like, okay, do I try this again, or do I quit this and get a job and have 4 months time while I can find a good job,
Right.
and try to get my life back in order, like go to the gym, start losing weight, get in shape again, getting back to a winning mindset. And I was like, well, how much more can I make with this? Well, I can make a bit more, but the market isn't going down, and I'm not sure if it goes up. It looks a bit like it was getting to like that $1,000 level,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, but what if it keeps going down? What if this does a double top at like $1,000? I was like, but then what? Do I short it back again? It too much risk.
Yeah.
Because when I started it, like another big mistake that I did is I had a job before I came into crypto. So I put in $1,000, like $1,500 into it in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I made a lot of, I mean, like I said, not a lot of, but enough money like to live off it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I don't need a job anymore. Fuck doing the 9 to 5 stupid grind like everybody else is doing.
Right.
So I quit my job then, and then I started doing full time crypto. And then the way things were back then, it was like, okay, even if this keeps going down, there are too many risks because I don't really have. I need to keep taking money out of the account, so
Yeah.
I can't make I can't make $2,000 a month, so I can keep 1,000, grow the account, and take 1,000 out. Like the best I could do was make enough money that I can take it out of the account without diminishing the account.
Right. So you're constantly
Then
battling this idea that I need to make 20% this month in order to afford the withdrawal. And at some point that starts dwindling. And then you get to that point towards the end there where you said you had 4 months that whatever you'd budgeted, let's say you budgeted
yeah,
$1,000 that you need to take out every month. You got a few $1,000s left, or at the time, whatever,
yeah,
four, five,
yeah,
six
yeah. So I was
Bitcoin.
like, yeah. So I was like, this is not working.
Yeah.
Like mathematically, it like I went back into the accounting days when I was doing, and I put stuff in an Excel and like started doing the like basic math on it, and was like, this isn't adding up. So I need to change something, and because like crypto made me, like I said, it impacted my physical life, my mental life, my relations with everybody around me, because I like I said, I was extremely arrogant.
Yeah.
I was like, this cannot go on. I mean, this is too damaging for me. Like there were the risk outweighed the possible returns. And I was like, F this, I'm out. So I basically cashed out everything and then used that time to get a job, and like I said,
To get healthy
get a
again.
wife, get healthy again, get the winning mindset, get somewhat fit. Now I'm a bit fat again, but
It happens to us, especially
it's
in quarantine.
it's quarantine, yeah. But like actually, get a wife, get
Yeah.
some friends, go to a barbecue, talk with people normally, not like I'm some god like know-it-all crazy person.
Yeah. Did you pay any attention to markets as you saw what happened?
No, absolutely not. I had like this mental problem. I couldn't look at a chart. I was getting panic attacks.
Wow. So, I mean, that brings us all the way until you made that decision, and then you, as you mentioned, you basically had to ignore it from then. You'd already had, I mean, more than the Bitcoin stuff. It sounds like based on what Ethereum had already done by the time you were exiting, you already felt the pain of that, which was probably
Yeah, yeah.
a more
That was my biggest mistake in my life. I was stupid, and that person, I think I think somebody said that it's some guy on Twitter. I don't know, because he was using a fake name when he contacted me back in the day.
yeah,
But that guy basically, how it basically took advantage of the situation.
right. But that was
And
that equated it already by the time you left. That was 10 or
yeah,
20 times probably you were ever trading with at any one time.
yeah, yeah. So basically, if the general idea is this, if I didn't mess up, the Ethereum was like the once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right.
So if that opportunity was not taken from me, because that's what actually happened. That was like the once in a lifetime. That was like the guy who bought Bitcoin at $10.
Right.
Like that was it. But what can you do, man? It is what it is.
Do you think you could have held on to it?
Yeah, because you couldn't trade it, you couldn't put it on a wallet. It was like
So
freaking complicated.
so
Like
Ethereum
I
was
didn't understand
so
it. I
from
was
the
like, okay,
yeah, so from the pre-sale at like 10 cents or 11 cents whatever it was until it
yeah,
listed somewhere at $10, like that was it. Like you couldn't do anything in between, right?
yeah. Like I couldn't figure out. Like you had to install like Linux or something. Like how do I do this?
So
I
you
don't know.
basically could have held Ethereum to life-changing money purely by not getting scammed out of it.
Not knowing what the fuck to do. Yes.
Yeah, because you couldn't like it just appeared and it was worth something once it finally got listed on exchanges the same way as Bitcoin.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
the plan was, okay, let's hold this until it reaches like Bitfinex or like a major exchange.
right. So let's skip ahead because obviously you went through a ton psychologically and physically, like you've mentioned. When did you feel like you could come look at this stuff again and pay attention again and then all of a sudden you showed up and you're like, hey guys, how's it going? Like what was the time frame? Because since then we've had there have been thousands of people that have your same story untold now, living the same thing, but instead of Bitcoin at 1,000, it was Bitcoin at 20,000 and down to 3,000. It was just everything times 10, right?
Yeah.
So when did you see things again? When did you get to a point where you could say, like, go look at it and feel okay reaching out to people that you once knew and
Well,
bringing your brain space back?
The thing is, look, I got my life in order, and as soon as I got my life in order, where more than it was in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, look, I need to think about retirement. Like, I'm the old guy now. I'm like I'm 32, by the way, but I'm like the old person, like the white hair from all the margin trading on 10x. So I'm like, okay, I need to think about retirement. So okay, fine, let's go look at whatever. And then inevitably you get back to crypto again, because I keep telling people that if crypto in 2013 2014 was like the internet during the dot-com bubble era, Bitcoin and crypto now is like the internet during the 2007 2008 era.
Yeah.
Like when YouTube was launched, right then when Facebook was launched, like right when Twitter was launched, right when the Web 2.0
Yeah, and that
launched.
connects to me too. I don't think you know this, but I'm a web developer as well, and we're close to the same age. So those parallels are very familiar to me, and that's honestly what got me interested in crypto when I did. Like I said, on the tail end of your journey, but it was for those same reasons. Thinking of like, here's an asset class that you can gain exposure to. So this time now you say, okay, well, man, crypto's still around, and here's this, and maybe it's real now. It's not pets.com anymore.
Yeah, maybe it's real now. And okay, well, it's real. It's now. I always said this: Bitcoin has two prices: zero or infinity,
so,
and nothing in between.
so you feel that way today?
Yeah, so back then I was Bitcoin to zero. Now I'm Bitcoin to infinity.
Okay. So when did you make that decision and say, hey, let's start getting interested in this again? Let's pay attention.
Well, like I said, like a few months ago, during the quarantine era, I started to make plans. And me coming back to Twitter and coming back to crypto had like nothing paying to do with crypto. Like I said, plenty of time, and I think my Twitter has a lot of politics on it. I'm not. I don't really like where the world is going. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna step into the Twitter arena. Well, that was smart. So that's how I came back to Twitter. I'm going to step back into the arena because I need to see how this is gonna work out. Because like what happens now in the States, it's pretty batshit crazy, and with the quarantine and with the lockdowns and with what the Chinese are doing, it's not cool for the world. And I'm like, okay, if I have to live under a global superpower, okay, because when you have a planet, and this planet has like a country that is like the strongest. So the country which is the strongest usually sends its government form to all the other countries. So if the main country on earth is a democracy, all the other major countries in the world are democracies. Now, China is pretty strong and is on the second place. And China is an authoritarian communist country. Well, basically more fascist than communist, but that's debatable. So I'm like, okay, do I want to live under a democracy, or do I want to live under an authoritarian state? So that's how I came back to Twitter. I was like, no, man, this we cannot let China win. So that's the whole point.
And so now you're approaching this more as like the plan B, the non-state option for money, And it sounds like, I mean, at this point, like
Yeah, now
like
it
you
now it's
like you
now
said,
it's
buying a
the
Bitcoin is expensive. So now you're, I guess, dollar cost averaging as a retirement savings plan, right?
yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm like, okay, if you cannot hold real world assets because real world assets can get torched, real world assets can get bombed, real world assets, I mean, you might have to flee your country. Like, people might not know this, but Romania was under a communist dictatorship
Yeah.
for like 50 years. We know how communist works, we know how gulags work. We've been through them. We've been through, like, you are sitting in home at night and you tell a stupid joke about the dear leader to your family members, and early next morning you are on a one-way trip to Siberia
So this,
because somebody heard you.
wow, yeah.
So I had family that went through this, so I know exactly how that works. So basically, you want to have assets in something that is not tied to a place. So if you have money in the Bitcoin, assuming they don't ban Bitcoin, which,
Or that
as I
you,
said,
even if they do, you have some access to it or some way out.
yeah. So like I said, if they don't ban Bitcoin and if Bitcoin doesn't get scammed or rug pulled, Bitcoin to infinity. That's the general idea. So, but you need to have money in a way that you can easily and fast convert it to cash. And Bitcoin, with all its flaws that it takes costs money to transact and it's not really useful as a currency, as a store of value, it's perfect.
Hmm.
So if you want to store value into an asset that is deflationary by nature and accessible to almost any civilized place that you can run off to in case you have to, like, leave your country, it's like you can't get better than that. I mean, you can travel with like a stack of bitcoins,
Yes.
hidden on a paper wallet.
You're not hanging, you're not like holding a backpack full of gold or cash or anything else.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to be like totally paranoia level, you can like actually memorize your Bitcoin wallet pass,
Yeah.
mnemonic
Or send
phrase.
or have some kind of encrypted key stored somewhere on the internet that you can find from a different location. Like,
Exactly. So basically, if you want to go full paranoia, you can like travel and have like a million bucks waiting for you at the other
and
end.
honestly, I think that's a very difficult idea for most Westerners to even understand as a realistic life scenario. But it's something that you've seen in your real life.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it, my friend. I've
So
seen it. I've seen it.
a question in terms of how you got to that point, because this is a complete shift from Wolf of Wall Street, fast money, get in, get out. This is garbage. Was it the influence of some of the OGs that you traded with, obviously with very different mentalities back then, but people that you traded with, people that you knew, people that you talked to, did their influence rub off on you taking it seriously when you came back?
I don't want to say no. Like, I do think that some of the OGs, when I think about what they wrote to me back in the day, now they were trying to help me. And big shout outs to those who did, and they know who they are. And I don't want to give any names because, well, we know it's crypto. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's go with that. But big shout out to them. But the thing is that changed me was the fact that, look, life changes and people change, and sometimes as you get older you start to value other things in life, if that makes any sense. So rather than, I always say this, because if back in the day I was like, I do not care how I win as long as I win. If,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm more like, look, I like to win, but I count my wins mostly in how many people win with me then I win at the expense of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think more of how we can, most of us try to make some money, and I make a little bit more because, well, that's inevitably how it's gonna work, rather than how I can rug pull, scam, whatever. You
Yeah.
know, the fast money. How you can like scam and get a lot of money at the expense of others.
Right. So are you
And
approaching the market this time as a trader or purely as a buy and hold Bitcoin?
more of an investor. So I hold some assets that I do not really know how they work, but I read their white paper and they sound promising, but I have no idea how they keep going up. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed they still go up. But I'm more of, okay, look, where will this go in the next year? So let's make a parallel back to the internet. So back in 2008, nobody knew what the hell YouTube is. And now I don't think you can find someone that doesn't know what YouTube is.
Right.
So if we think about how the technology keeps accelerating and how the tech keeps accelerating and how the processing power keeps accelerating and how the world is more and more connected, assuming World War IV doesn't break out, because World War III already happened, China won it without firing a single shot. You can see all the economies down 30% due to the COVID lockdowns. But assuming World War IV doesn't happen, in 10 years, everybody will know what Bitcoin is. Everybody will have some sort of Bitcoin exposure. So if Bitcoin now is, what is it?
11,000.
11,000? Yeah, 11,565 dot 22 on Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm looking at the chart right now.
Yeah.
And like when everybody knows it and will have some exposure, because remember, people always get into something if it's easily getting into bull. So basically, if it's easy to get into something, passive investors and people who want to save some money somehow, like those roundup services, and
Right.
look, you can put some money into this for savings, they will get into and have exposure to Bitcoin. So I saw that there are a bunch of brokers right now that allow you to have exposure to Bitcoin, like eToro or like
Cash App.
yeah, Cash App, like you have the Revolut, which is like that credit card thingy where you can have some exposure to crypto.
Right.
You have like so basically they are for the retail, not for the retail, because we are all retail. Since we're not like investment
Right.
funds here, we don't sling millions of
But
dollars.
the noob retail.
Yeah, the guy who like has a 9 to 5, doesn't know what to do, is clueless about economics in general, and at least has the right idea that, okay, maybe it's time to save some money, because most people are idiots and actually don't save any money and rather just credit card everything. We the world is in a stupid place when you can just credit card all your expenses on zero interest, and you don't have to save money for anything, from like a fridge or a TV all the way up to a car. You can just buy everything with credit. Like, this is retarded, and this is not a sustainable approach. I mean, it is, but the value of the purchasing power of the
If
currency will go to shit.
it feeds into your argument for Bitcoin or other hard assets.
Yeah, it feeds into the argument. And I was like, okay, maybe try to buy gold. But the problem with gold is that 95% of all the gold that is traded doesn't really exist.
Yeah, it's
So they're
paper gold.
ETFs. Yeah, it's ETFs, it's CFDs, it's whatever. So you're not actually trading gold. You're trading something on a derivative on the price of gold, which basically doesn't mean anything because you still get paid in USD or whatever. So you can't take that IOU paper to like the to get your gold out of it, if
Right.
that makes many sense. So there is that, and this is the problem that Bitcoin also starts to have. Like you have most of the money right now in Bitcoin is not actually in the Bitcoin. So it's in all the futures, the move contracts, the perpetuals, the leveraged bear bull, whatever. So it's not into the asset itself, but it's in all the derivatives of the asset.
Yeah, so
And you can,
until you pull it out of the margin exchange, then you don't feel like it's yours yet.
yeah, and this is why the volume of Bitcoin is on the exchanges is not increasing with the price, because most of the volume has been taken by all of these derivatives. Like I said this once and I still have my opinion. If you could not trade derivatives, futures, move contracts, perpetuals, whatever, you can only buy or sell Bitcoin. Bitcoin now would have been $1 million a coin.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people blamed the launch of CME, and CME is actually paper settled, so it's like the paper gold ETFs. You don't.
Yeah.
There's no underlying Bitcoin of those, and that marked the top at the end of 2017 after that cycle. So I think there's a lot of people that, or at least some people that will share that opinion with you, and we've definitely seen just the pure ability to play swaps and things on high leverage.
Yeah.
Certainly, it gives people more willingness to play Bitcoin in both directions. And even though it was possible, I mean, you earned your scrapes on the short side of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it's evolved beyond what the derivatives market looked like back in 2015 for sure.
Yeah, and the problem is that, so this is like the weird problem to have. Like Bitcoin now is too high, and basically since it's too high, the price, I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
too high. One Bitcoin now costs more than a car.
Right.
But not a good car, but
A car.
a car. Okay, let's go with a car, a decent car. Okay, so the retail trader is not gonna go to the exchange and buy a Bitcoin.
Right.
So what the retail trader or the guy that doesn't really know what the hell to do, he's gonna go and, like I said, use the Cash App or the whatever else services, and buy some Bitcoin, but he won't know that he bought Bitcoin. He knows that he bought a certain amount of dollars.
About $100 of Bitcoin.
Exactly. So he won't know how much that would actually represent, like 0.0000 whatever. Because people have like this inbuilt anger towards fractions
Yeah.
and towards decimals, like they want round numbers. Okay, so they want 1 and they want 2. They don't want 1.5321555, whatever,
Right.
they don't want that. So the thing is, with the price being so high, like let's say a retail guy hears about Bitcoin and wants to have a Bitcoin because he doesn't know that he can buy half a Bitcoin. Okay, so he thinks this is a stock, because this is what most people will think. Okay, this is
I
a
can't
stock.
afford a Bitcoin, so I'll buy 100 XRPs.
Yeah, he's gonna go and he's gonna look at the exchange and he's gonna like go, I wanna buy a Bitcoin. And he goes like, how much is a Bitcoin? And he sees this price. Do you think he's gonna buy a Bitcoin? No, he's gonna go buy some stock.
A stock or an altcoin or
He's
something.
not gonna buy an altcoin.
You don't think so?
No.
So you don't think altcoins will carry the narrative again that
No.
there's a path
No.
towards?
No. The only thing altcoins exist is to make more Bitcoin. And that's it.
Yeah,
People get it.
but altcoins are more accessible than they ever were before. On the same, you go to Robinhood or something like that, and right next to Bitcoin, you can see Ethereum or whatever, and you can buy one of those for whatever Ethereum, $380. They see that next to it, and they're like, well, I can afford $380. That's the price of a stock, but I can't afford Bitcoin.
Yeah, but does he know what to do with the Ethereum? If he searches Ethereum and then he searches Bitcoin, which one do you think will get more results in Google?
Bitcoin, but I think there's more around Ethereum than there ever was before.
I know, but the collective mind is crypto is Bitcoin. Like for the average Joe, when you tell him, like I tell people about crypto, and they say, "Oh, you mean which is different? Oh, you mean Bitcoin? No. There is more than one coin. Oh, there is."
Yeah. So what we saw, I think what caused the market to do what it did after you left was actually people saying, well, what's going to do this next? And that sparked a lot of the altcoin stuff. And I still think you're right in some ways. Like I just think there's this divergence. Some people are going to say, oh, Bitcoin, and that's what I'll stick with. And some people are going to say, what's next? Like they want to take that risk profile up a notch, and they will go down that route, no matter what the monetary stuff is behind it. Like you said, most people aren't going to understand it anyway. So they see one that's priced for $1, one for $300, and one for $10,000. They're going to buy more of the ones that are $1 or $300, no matter what, because they can afford it, and they're like, maybe it'll go to 10,000 like Bitcoin did. And I think that drove a lot of what we saw in 2017, and even through the
yes, and that would be true if you can easily buy it. Look, I really don't know much, but the thing I know is this entire DeFi stuff. So to buy DeFi tokens, you have to go through an exchange. I don't see a broker where you can actually buy, I don't know, Uniswap.
Well, you can buy them off of exchanges just like most of the others. It's just
yes. So you have to go to an exchange. That's the thing. You have to go to an exchange. You cannot buy them from like an eToro broker or like Revolut.
I see what you mean. You can't buy it off of a stock broker, like in the same place. You can if there's like Robinhood and some of the others. I think those will come. But yes, if you have to go to a Coinbase or a Bitstamp or something like that, then it's a little harder.
Exactly. And Bitstamp doesn't even offer you like half the altcoins.
Right. But more and more people are just buying their Bitcoin exposure directly off of the same place they buy their stocks from. I see what you mean now.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, that Bitcoin has this built-in quantitative easing. People want to have exposure to Bitcoin, they drop $500 into Bitcoin and they leave it alone. And this is like, if enough people do this is like quantitative easing for Bitcoin. But when it comes to alts, you need to have somebody that has an urge, like an active urge to, okay, I need to go to X exchange, I need to take my credit card, I need to buy USDT or Tezos or whatever the currency market DAO, whatever, so to have one-to-one with the USD, and then I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna buy Uni,
yeah,
or Aave or Sol or SRM or whatever.
I see what you're saying. I think that people like me came in as finally being willing to do that. Now it was still a young person's game. Like not many people in their 50s and 60s are going to go buy that unless it's at their whatever Ameritrade or Charles Schwab or whatever account.
Exactly.
But that was the big shift that occurred in 2017, and I experienced this firsthand myself, and then throughout the year, as Bitcoin went more and more parabolic, more people came to me because they knew that I got into Bitcoin, and they're like, "Hey, how do I do this?" Or where do I go? What do I do? And then they did it. What I think though was there's now a hangover. The people that went through the same thing that many of us do is, we buy into a huge pump and then we have to live through the bear market in some capacity.
Exactly.
So now the time before they can be convinced, like, oh yeah, right, I'm going to go log into my Coinbase account and buy more of this thing. Screw that. I just lost thousands of dollars FOMOing into that in 2017. I think that process is what takes a ton of time. And maybe we're finally getting to the point where some people would be willing to take those risks again.
No.
But most are not paying attention yet. I think, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. I think it has to be breaching the all-time high again, going for that price discovery before people are willing to make that jump again.
Well, you start to see my point. So look, the way I see it is this: Bitcoin was $100. Nobody gave a hoots about it. Bitcoin went to $1,000. It was on CNBC, CNN, you name it. You name it, they had it.
Right.
Everybody jumped in. They saw the altcoin market. It was pretty cool. They jumped into the altcoin market. They got scammed. They got ripped off. They got rug pulled. They lost all their money to some sharks. Now, those sharks went to the big exchanges to leverage that all those bitcoins into USD, and they got taken to the cleaners by the professional traders, which then started pushing the price up, because you don't need that much to push Bitcoin price, honestly. I mean, I was in some rooms with some guys when Bitcoin was like 500. They were like, let's push this $20 higher. Margin call some noobs, And there was an actual guy that was like, okay, I'm gonna set my bot to take take Bitcoin $20 higher, and was like, okay. So if there were guys that could do that back then, there are guys who can do that today. So they're in a different room. They don't sit on Telegram. They sit in their private country club, sipping martinos, having cigars, and telling their intern, okay, now you have to set the bot to go. Everybody's long, yeah, okay, now John, can you make the bot go? That's the only thing that's different. It's not some guy sitting on Telegram or Discord or whatever, Mirk. It's some guy sitting in a country club with his mates doing the same thing. But that's besides the point. Yeah. The thing is, you have a big boom. Everybody talks about it. Everybody jumps in. They see that they don't make money into Bitcoin, and they have a welcome ecosystem that's okay. You can make money there, but you could make money here. So the way it went into 2014, 2015 was the altcoin exchange to the Bitcoin exchanges. Now the problem with what happens now is that there aren't that many people that are in right now. The only people that are in are people who are still alive after they bought the 20k Bitcoin. Which, what happened to them? They got cleaned up during this altcoin season, when you had coins going from 10 cents to $4 to 20 cents now. I mean, I look at most of the DeFi. Bitcoin goes up. Bitcoin goes up a lot. Bitcoin went up $100 right now.
Yeah, it did.
It was.
They were just they just heard you talking. The bot is on. So, do you think? So it sounds like you think the cycle will essentially be the same, right?
Yeah, the cycle is the same. So right now, everybody that still had any sort of money got taken to the cleaners on the DeFi stuff. Most of them are scams. Some of them are not scams, but all of them pumped to 10, 20, 30 times their. I mean, look at Uniswap. Okay, I have a chart here on Uniswap. You just click on let's not use the perpetuum. Let's do UniUSD, whatever.
Yep.
So like if you open UniUSD and you switch it to like a daily chart or something, like it was cheap, then it went to like $8, and then it went back to like $2.
Yeah, people that got the airdrops that for free, their
Yeah,
airdrop was worth like $3,000, which, you know, like you said, that $3,000 is a lot of money for anybody, but it's a lot
yeah,
of money for some people.
yeah.
And
But like look at like all of the all look for example Aave, for example,
oh yeah,
or
it went nuts.
yeah, Aave went nuts. I mean, if you look it on Binance, because Binance has it a better chart for it. So if you look on Aave, for example, well, you don't see it now because they changed, but it was like basically worth 1 cent, not even 1 cent, 0.001 cents. So like a tenth of a cent, and then it went to like 80 cents, and then it dropped down to like 30 cents. Look at, I don't know, I mean, you can look at almost any DeFi project. It was like, especially those that were launched like in 2017 or something.
Yeah,
Like they,
like
they were,
Link or something.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I know.
that's a good.
I'm with you, and I know what you mean, and I don't want to keep you too much longer, but it sounds like you do think that the cycle just repeats itself over time, and I don't disagree for the most part. However, of course, just like you had in other sense, there are opportunities to make more money, to make more Bitcoin during that. I want to finish with a question, just out of curiosity. Um,
Mhm.
do you believe that you can play the short side of Bitcoin again, or are you
No. I'm not shorting this. I'm just okay. I hit the prices too high. I will sell my Bitcoin into cash, but I will not short it.
Gotcha. So you're a long only trader now, and
No, no.
are you willing to margin trade, or have you gotten
On
in?
Bitcoin, no.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not. It's too risky. Look, right now you saw that candle that moved $100 into
Mm-hmm.
one direction. If you were on any sort of crazy leverage, like
10x to 20x.
20x,
Yeah.
20x, 50x, 100x, because the higher the price is, the higher the leverage can be. So most exchanges now allow you to go like for futures you can go 50x or 100x. So that candle just margin called somebody. So
Right.
if some guy was short there on 100x, he just got margin called.
Right.
You don't play this. You don't play this on margin. You don't play this on crazy margin. Oh, you want to go 2x? Well, that's a different story. 2x. 2x, maybe 3x. Maybe. If you want to trade with the trend, go 3x long on it. But I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. There is more money to be made by trading DeFi coins, which can go 50x rather than trade 50x leverage on Bitcoin, which can go $100 and margin call you
Right.
one way or another.
I want to give you an opportunity before we leave. I think you told a powerful story in terms of, most would look at, the infamous meme tweet, whatever, as like the final bad thing. You had already been through the worst part of your journey though when that happened, and you getting out and gaining your headspace was the best thing that it sounds like you did. And now that you have come back, you're in a much healthier headspace in terms of what your life is like, the way you pay attention to the chart, the way you trade.
Yeah.
Somebody listening to this probably has recently gone through something like you just said. They stood through a 90% drawdown while they were long a DeFi coin, and they were all in, or they got liquidated over and over again trying to margin trade or whatever else. What
Look,
advice would you leave someone with who feels like they're not in a good place from the way that
look,
they're addressing crypto and trading and life? What advice do you have for them? Where do you leave them?
The advice is simple. So there are a few steps you can do. First, do not trade what you eat or what you rent. So don't trade your next month's food or don't trade your next month rent. This is too much stress on your. If you do this, get a job. Don't try to make it. You won't. The added stress of trying to always make money, and you will always be forced into trades that you do not want to take. And if you trade trades that you do not want to trade, you will lose more than you will gain. So don't do it. If you have to live off trading money, don't do it. Next month trading money, don't do it. Just get a job. Get fit. This is the most important. Go for a run. Half an hour a day of running. Trust me, it will do you miracles. And you can take that to the bank. You also won't die of cancer or diabetes or like whatever else disease. You don't need to do much more. Just go and run half an hour a day. And of course, the obligatory: don't do drugs, don't drink too much, don't do all those crazy things.
Don't
Like
try to adjust your mood that you get in. If you get into a bad place, don't try to fix it with things that put you under the influence.
Yes, yes. I'm totally against drugs. I don't know. Some people might like them a lot. I'm like against them. I smoked some weed back in the day. It wasn't a big deal, but like in crypto there is this entire cocaine. Like don't do drugs, people. It's not worth it. And like I said, don't over leverage. Don't try to make your money back. Just make a plan. Trade. Don't follow 20 indicators. Look, this is the best advice. After those other two, don't use 20 indicators. Just switch your chart to 1 week, and if the coin is just launched and you don't have 1 week, switch to 1 day or to 4 hours. Look where you have two candles, a green and a red one next to it, that are pretty big. That's a pivot. That's a place that can either act as support or resistance. That's a place to enter or exit a trade. Switch to higher time frames and just trade support and resistance and a trend line. Just draw lines and look at support, and that's all you need to do. You don't need any other fancy indicators. And always trade with the trend. If you don't know where the trend is, put a 100 DMA on it. Switch to 4 hours or daily and always trade into that direction. If it's choppy, don't trade it. Just sit on S. Hands on S. Like you say, don't do anything. Just walk away. Come back when it's moving someplace.
Don't be afraid to take a break.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take a break. Like if you get chopped, don't trade it. It's not worth it. You don't need to make. You don't need to always win. You just need to win more than you lose, and you need to minimize risk. The number one rule to making money is not losing money. So careful on the position sizing and careful on the maximum drawdown. And if you're unsure of something, don't leverage in it. So okay, this might go, this might not. I'm gonna 10x it. No, just scale into positions.
And
Dollar cost averaging works.
is it safe to say also don't marry your position or your bias?
No, don't. Like if you see things going in a different place, just evaluate if it keeps going. Just look at the 100 DMA. Where is it? Is the price on higher than the 100 DMA? Then you need to be bullish. Whatever your bias may be, that's your bias. The 100 DMA. Put that on a chart. Trade that. Right now, all DMAs are going up, so you need to be a bull.
Ashdrake, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you coming on and being honest and telling your story. People can find you on Twitter at Lord_Ashdrake, and I'll link that up in the show notes. And
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here, and I know that this helped someone else. So thanks so much for that. Also, thanks so much to our sponsor, Matcha. Go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha, MATCHA. They aggregate liquidity providers and make trading on a DEX much simpler. It's a great tool. Appreciate everybody being here. If you enjoyed this, let me know. We don't do a lot of interviews on LedgerCast, and we're looking to do more. If you have a great story to tell, we want to help you tell it.
And if you didn't enjoy it, just message me on Twitter and send all your complaints to me. I promise
Send all
I
your
will
complaints to Ashdrake. He will.
Yes.
He will hear them. All right.
Yeah, I will respond in kind.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Thank
We will catch everybody next episode. Have a great one.
Peace.
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe.